Robert Whittaker knocked out Ikram Aliskerov a minute and 49 seconds into the first round, and he made it look easy. Ikram didn't get much off. You know, a lot of that has to do with just how short the fight was, but also Whittaker was just shutting him down. I mean, Ikram was only really throwing kicks with his lead leg, you know, teeps to the body, but none of them were really landing, and the ones that did weren't landing with much power. But Whittaker was just on a different level. As I said, this was a massive step up in competition for Ikram. By far the best guy he's ever faced, whereas Whittaker has fought the best of the best at middleweight for almost a decade, and he was just so much more technical than Ikram. He was always 2 steps ahead of him. He was feinting really well, getting Ikram to bite on a lot of the feints, and his jab was amazing as well, as it always is. Whittaker has an amazing jab, and every time Whittaker would throw that jab, Ikram would always do the same thing where he'd lean away and wouldn't move his head off the center. Ikram's lack of defense was really exposed here. I think we all knew that could be an issue going into this fight, but Whittaker showed that that is definitely an issue Ikram has. He uses no head movement, and because of that, all Whittaker had to do was throw out his jab, get Ikram to lean away, and then follow up with a right hand, because Whittaker can move forward with his right hand faster than Ikram can move backwards, and because Ikram keeps his head straight in front of his opponents, and often when he leans away, he'll lean away with his hands down, that leaves him very exposed to a follow-up right hand. This is actually kind of how Whittaker was able to find that knockout on Ikram, and he got his timing down and figured Ikram out so quick. I mean, the fight only lasted less than 2 minutes. Looking at the knockout sequence, Whittaker throws out his jab, but he's not throwing it out with a lot of power. He's not really trying to land. He's just throwing it out, getting Ikram to lean away, and then as Ikram looks to counter him with a knee, Whittaker steps forward into Ikram and to his left, which lines up that right hand, and as you can see, Ikram got caught with his head straight on the center line, his hands down, and his eyes closed, which just shows how not good Ikram's striking defense is. He even tried to turn away from the right hand, which is another thing you don't want to do, and he just never saw this shot coming. Whittaker landed that right hand perfectly on the chin, had Ikram stumbling around, and this might show that Ikram doesn't have a great chin. I mean, we've all seen him get knocked out by one punch against Hamzat, and then he got really hurt here against Whittaker, who's not known for having a lot of power. I mean, when's the last time Whittaker knocked someone out? I think it was Jacare back in like 2017, and that started from a head kick, which is a lot different than a punch. You can get a lot more power with your kicks than you can with your punches, but Whittaker found that right hand, placed it perfectly, had Ikram nearly out on his feet, followed it up with the 1-2 head kick, which we know Whittaker loves. That's one of his best combinations. He's used it all the time. Used it against Kelvin Gastelum, Yoel Romero. I still don't know how Romero took that kick. Hurt Cannonier with it as well. It's been a combination he's used throughout his entire career, and we've actually seen a lot of guys do something similar recently, like Justin Gaethje knocking out Dustin Poirier, or when Leon Edwards knocked out Kamaru Usman, where they'll throw out their right hand for Gaethje, or in Leon's case his left hand. They'll throw out their backhand and then follow it up with their back leg kick to the head. Same side combinations. It's something I want to see a lot more of in MMA. We see it a good amount in boxing. Mike Tyson was famous for his right hook, right uppercut, and now in MMA we're seeing a lot more guys throw their backhand into their power leg like what Leon did, and Whittaker's been doing it for a while. He's one of the first guys I can remember doing same side combinations in MMA, and the reason it's so effective is because when you're learning striking defense, they teach you to guard left, right, because if someone throws, say, a left hook, they're probably going to follow it up with a right hand. So usually fighters aren't expecting strikes to come from the same side because that's just not what they've been taught. And against Ikram, Whittaker tried that 1-2 head kick. He threw out his left hand, threw out his right hand, and then threw the head kick, and it just missed. Again, Ikram got caught with his hands down. That's a huge issue he needs to fix. And with both of these guys fighting out of orthodox, it's a lot harder to land your back leg because you have to get it over the shoulder, which is very difficult. But after missing the head kick, Whittaker stayed on Ikram, started measuring him, saw the opening for the uppercut as Ikram's guard was pretty wide. He was covering the sides very tight, which left a big hole in the center, and that uppercut landed perfectly on Ikram, putting him down for good this time. And as the commentary team pointed out, that uppercut that Whittaker landed was very similar to the one Hamzat landed that knocked him out. But what a performance from Robert Whittaker, and you do have to give Ikram a lot of respect for taking this fight up on short notice, only 2 weeks notice, a week's notice, something like that. But this was just too big of a step up in competition. As I said in my prediction video, I think Whittaker is the second hardest matchup stylistically for Ikram in the entire division, behind only Sean Strickland. So massive respect to him for taking this fight, and a lot of respect to Whittaker too, because he also took this fight on short notice, said, hey, I just want to stay on the card, I'll fight anyone. So a lot of credit to him. A lot of guys aren't like that nowadays. And if that was Hamzat in there instead, my opinion hasn't changed. In fact, it's only been more solidified. I think Whittaker beats Khamzat. I mean, Khamzat has to take the fight down, but Whittaker has amazing takedown defense. We've seen elite wrestlers, Olympic level wrestlers like Yoel Romero struggle to take Whittaker down and struggle to hold him down. Now, if Khamzat got him down, he'd have an easier time controlling him than Yoel, but I think he'd have a much harder time taking him down than Yoel. But I think Whittaker would be able to stop the takedowns, and he's just so much better on the feet. But what's next for both of these guys? For Ikram, a lot of you know I made a video on why I think Ikram Aliskerov is a future champion. I still stand by a lot of what I said in that video. I still think he has a lot of potential. He's just got a lot he needs to work on. I do still think he beats a lot of guys in the top 15. As for who I'd like to see him fight next, probably someone lower in the rankings like Chris Curtis, and then slowly climb up. Or maybe a few guys just outside of the rankings, but I think the Chris Curtis fight makes a lot of sense, and then from there he can go to like Roman Dolidze and then Brendan Allen, and then slowly climb up from there. It was just too big of a jump too quickly. But what's next for Whittaker? We know Dricus and Izzy are going to fight for the title, and I don't think Whittaker deserves a title shot just yet, because he just lost to Dricus, and he's lost to Izzy twice. Plus, I would say Sean deserves it slightly more than him. Maybe you do Sean Strickland versus Robert Whittaker for the #1 contender fight. There's also Imavov right there, who's put together a good win streak, just beat Jared Cannonier. You also got Khamzat, who's sort of there as well. There's a lot of different ways you can matchmake this division. I might make a video on that, even though I just did not too long ago. I guess what I would do is Sean Strickland versus Robert Whittaker, and the winner would fight the winner of Dricus versus Izzy. And then maybe you do Khamzat versus the loser of that fight, but you also got Imavov right there. Maybe you do Khamzat versus Imavov. And there's also Kamaru Usman. What is he doing? Is he going to fight at welterweight? Is he going to fight at middleweight? I don't even know. He just disappeared after the Khamzat fight. But I think for Whittaker, the Sean Strickland fight makes the most sense. As for who I think would win that fight, I'd honestly probably lean with Sean. Both guys have the takedown defense to keep this fight standing, but on the feet, I think Whittaker just leaves too many holes defensively, and Sean is one of the hardest guys to hit. His boxing defense is so good. Whittaker's going to have such a hard time hitting him, especially with his hands. I think the kicks could be effective, but honestly, I would probably lean Sean in that fight. But anyways, that is the end of the video, guys. If you are new here and you did enjoy, please be sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload. Like the video, leave your opinions on this fight in the comments down below. Leave your opinions on this card as a whole, and I will see you guys in the next one.